How's it going, guys? I hope you guys are having a great week. So I'm back today with a brand new video series. This one is called Review Roundup, where we look back every month at some of the biggest game releases and how they were received by both critics and gamers alike. So we're going to kick off January 2024 by looking back at some of the games that came out this month. Kicking us off, of course, first is Momodora Moonlit Farewell. This was a gorgeous pixel art Metroidvania style game from developer Bomb Service that released on the 11th of January. The game did pretty well, scoring an average 81 critic score on OpenCritic, with 100% of critics recommending the game. GameLuster scored it a 7 out of 10, saying Momodora Moonlit Farewell is a beautifully presented Metroidvania with gorgeous pixel art and an equally mesmerizing soundtrack, which combined to manifest melancholy right into your heart. Tryhard Guides scored it a very impressive 9 out of 10, saying Momodora Moonlit Farewell is near perfect in every way, with exceptional art, game design, characters, and writing. While the game is slightly held back by dated controls and poor mapping options. And Inven scored it a very reasonable 8 out of 10, saying for those who remember the Momodora series, the traversal and combat difficulty of the latest installment might feel a bit lacking. However, it is still a well-balanced 2D platformer action game that shines with convenience and beautiful pixel visuals. On Steam, it's standing at a very respectable 92%, very positive, from 1,186 user reviews as of this recording. The second game that came out this month was Sovereign Syndicate. This was a Disco Elysium inspired Victorian steampunk CRPG from Crimson Herring Studios that came out on the 15th of January. The game was received pretty well, scoring a 75 average critic score on OpenCritic, with 80% of critics recommending it. PC Gamer scored it 80 out of 100, saying with its emphasis on roleplay rather than combat and borrowings from Disco Elysium, Sovereign Syndicate feels like another step forward for the CRPG. What If Gaming scored it 9 out of 10, saying Sovereign Syndicate is an engaging CRPG with a lot of heart and a surprisingly competent first title from developer Crimson Herring Studios. And Wolf's Gaming Blog scored it a 3.5 out of 5. They said that there's a lot to like about Sovereign Syndicate. I like how it steers away from combat in favor of dialogue and decisions. I like its characters and its world, but there are chunks of the game that don't quite work for me, from the leveling and skill checks which feel disconnected from everything else, to the final chapters of the story that struggle to bring our heroes together in a satisfying way. On Steam though, the game is doing very well, scoring 91%, very positive, from 93 user reviews so far. The third game that came out this month was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Of course, this was a 2D side-scrolling action platforming Metroidvania game from Ubisoft Montpellier that came out on the 18th of January. The game is doing very well. It scored 86 average critic score on OpenCritic, with 95% of critics recommending it. Game Informer scored it a 9.5 out of 10, saying The Lost Crown makes it hard to put the controller down, constantly urging players to follow its path just a little further. Between its first-rate platforming and engaging combat and progression, The Lost Crown's various parts coalesce into a sublime loop. Gameplay is king, and this Prince of Persia understands that. Push Square scored it 8 out of 10. They said Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown puts its best foot forward with rewarding and satisfying gameplay at its core, combining the series' 2D past with the time-bending powers from later games. This Metroidvania is a brilliant blend that brings the franchise back in a fresh new way, and PC Gamer scored it 72 out of 100, saying Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a palatable Metroidvania with a mediocre story, unfortunately. My biggest frustrations with The Lost Crown is how long it takes to get to the good stuff. There are no Steam reviews for this game, unfortunately, because it is an Epic Store exclusive on PC, but the Epic Player score at the moment stands at a very respectable 4.8 out of 5, so a lot of gamers seem to be really enjoying what this game has to offer. The fourth game that came out this month was Another Code Recollection. This is a remake of a Nintendo cult classic back on the Nintendo DS and the Wii, and it came out on the 19th of January. The game did very well, scoring a 74 average critic score on OpenCritic, with only 62% of critics recommending the game. IGN scored it a 7 out of 10, saying Another Code Recollection is a chill, breezy return for a dormant Nintendo series that's light on challenge but heavy on charm. Nintendo Life also scored it 7 out of 10, saying Another Code Recollection's biggest addition to the original DS and Wii experiences, besides the slick new graphics and fully explorable 3D environs, is its all-new navigation and puzzle aids. Their pacing could have been done with some more work, but this collection is as good a return to Ashley's World as fans could have hoped for. And Press Start scored it a lukewarm-ish 6.5 out of 10, saying Another Code Recollection breathes new life into a dormant series by creating a cohesive narrative in a remake with updated visuals. While some great effort has gone into modernizing the games from a presentation standpoint, some of the creative liberties taken and frustrating motion-controlled puzzles will no doubt leave fans longing for a more faithful recreation. User scores on Metacritic are pretty good. They're actually a lot better than critic scores, standing at 9.1 on Metacritic compared to critic scores of about 73. So it definitely seems that users, gamers, are enjoying the game a lot more than perhaps critics are. The fifth game that came out this month was Palworld. This is a survival game many have called Pokemon with guns, though it does seem to have more in common with the Ark Survival series, and it's from developer Pocket Pair, and it released on the 19th of January in early access. Now, there are some reviews on this game, but a lot of critics haven't yet laid down scores on this game, but IGN did review it and they scored it an 8 out of 10, saying Palworld may crib quite a bit from Pokemon's homework, but deep survival mechanics and an hilarious attitude make it hard to put down, even in early access. And Games Radar Plus said Palworld is a strange and obliviously cruel game that nonetheless shows effort and some real thought running through its core designs. Consequently, the end result so far is an arguably functional hybrid of several proven formulas that still can't help feeling like a tonal car crash. Well, critics don't quite know what to make out of Palworld. Users are definitely enjoying this game, especially given the fact it's sold, I think, over 6 million copies so far, and the Steam user reviews have it at 94% very positive from 92,000 reviews. So yeah, it's a lot of people seem to be enjoying the game. The sixth game that came out this month was Graven. This is a 90s inspired gritty first-person action-adventure game from Slipgate Ironworks that was in early access and received a 1.0 release this month on the 23rd of January. This game had pretty mixed reception during early access, and that seems to have followed it into full release, with the game currently sitting at 62 average critic score on OpenCritic, with 0% of critics recommending it. Ouch. God is Geek scored it a 7.5 out of 10, saying Graven has enough puzzles, secrets, weapons, and spells to keep it engrossing and compelling throughout. So God is Geek seemed to really enjoy it. COG Connected scored it also 70 out of 100, saying Time Machine nostalgia and a pixel perfect retro vibe can only carry Graven so far. Combat, exploration, and level design have to ferry the player to the end. Unfortunately, Graven has enough issues in these areas that its very promising premise isn't quite fulfilled. And Shacknews scored it an average 5 out of 10, saying the game seems confused about whether or not it wants to be an awesome action game, a thoughtful explorative puzzler, or some kind of mutant Souls-like gimmick. It sputters across the finish line, not really achieving anything but a cool look. On Steam, it currently sits at a mixed 66% from 651 reviews. The 7th game that came out this month was Tekken 8. This, of course, is the next entry in the Tekken series from Bandai Namco, and it did very, very well. It actually scored a very impressive 90 average critic score, with 97% of critics recommending it on OpenCritic. GodIsGeek scored it a 9 out of 10, saying Tekken 8 is a welcome return for the series, with a fighting style that feels fresh through its aggressive combat and plethora of modes. IGN also scored it a 9 out of 10, saying Tekken 8 is an incredible evolution for the series, with tons of single player content, an excellent suite of training tools, a great online experience, and exciting new mechanics that make Tekken more dynamic than ever. And if you are curious how Tekken 8 stands up against other fighting games like Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat, then Game Informer's review has you covered. They scored it an 8.3 out of 10. They said, as a complete package, Tekken 8 doesn't reach the heights of recent rivals like Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 1, but when the matches begin and you're exploiting openings to unleash flashy combo strings and air juggles, it remains a thrilling, if very familiar, one-on-one experience. Gamers have definitely enjoyed the game. They've scored it a 84%, very positive on Steam, so it's done pretty well. And the 8th and final game that came out this month was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This, of course, is the beloved JRPG series from Studio Ryuga Gotoku that sees the return of dual protagonists Ichiban Kasuga and Kazuma Kiryu. The game released on the 26th of January and did exceptionally well. It scored a 90 average critic score on OpenCritic, with 100% of critics recommending it. Shacknews scored it a 10 out of 10, saying despite this not being the traditional type of story we associate with Kiryu, Infinite Wealth is a fitting send-off to a legend of gaming. DualShockers scored it an 8.5 out of 10, saying Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is full of content for anyone willing to sink into the beautiful island of Hawaii. While its main story may take a while to boil and never feels quite as good as the side stories, Ichiban's adventures always entertain and delight. And GamingBot scored it a very respectable 9 out of 10, saying Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is a staggeringly massive RPG featuring the culmination of all that RGG Studios and the Yakuza and Like a Dragon franchise have worked towards over the last 2 decades. An incredibly high quality experience that doubles down on everything that was beloved about the previous entry. The game is sitting at a very strong 90% very positive on Steam from 998 reviews. So that's just an outline of some of the biggest reviews that came out this past month and how those games performed. This is a very new series, guys, so please do feedback. What do you guys think of this review roundup series? If this is something that you really like and you enjoy and you want to see more of it every month, then definitely do feed that back. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please subscribe, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'll be back again. My next video probably will be ranking the games I played in 2023. There are 30 games that I need to score and rank and obviously talk about. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty meaty video, so look forward to that. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great week, of course. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. I should go.